Freshman Democratic Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez reportedly is threatening political retribution against moderate members of her own party. The conflict is arising, we're told, over a House vote on Wednesday, when more than 24 Democrats voted with Republicans to add an amendment to a gun control bill. The amendment requires gun sellers to notify ICE when an illegal immigrant tries to buy a gun. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez, also known as AOC, reportedly scolded the 26 Democrats and broke ranks to support the amendment. Then the Congresswoman reportedly went farther than that, telling the moderates that she was putting their names on a, quote, list and threatening to help mount primary challenges to them in 2020. A spokesperson for AOC told the Washington Post this, that progressive activists are going to want explanations for the vote, and they're, quote, going to want a list of names, and she's going to give it to them, end quote. Richard, there's a list. And what will that mean politically if you're on the list by AOC?
Let me tell you what it's going to mean. There are 101 members of the pro-business New Democratic Caucus. It's much bigger than the Progressive Caucus or any other Democratic caucus in the House. Of the 40 members that the Democrats just picked up, 33 were New Dems. 0 were endorsed by Bernie Sanders or the groups that AOC is affiliated with. One more fact, Democrats got 23 million votes in the primaries last year. She got 14,000 against Joe Crowley. The point is, yeah, the press loves her. And how could you not, right? She comported herself pretty well, actually, at that hearing with Michael Cohen. But she has no seniority. And I think, frankly, with moves like this, she's going to get people trying to, like, knock her down a peg.
I was just going to say, that's exactly what I thought. I think she's inviting all of those guys to find a primary candidate for her. And I wonder, why is Nancy, I mean, just as a Democrat, why is Nancy Pelosi appeasing her? Because clearly, I mean, this is how the GOP, by the way, lost their majority, was, you know, the Freedom Caucus not making room for some of the moderates.
As of recently, she hadn't even opened a district office.
I know.
So, you know, I do think she's got to stick to her knitting a little bit because, you know, you get 14,000. That doesn't mean there's this broad support in your district. So whether
but why is Nancy letting her get away with it?
Well, I'm not sure what it is she's letting her get away with. We haven't actually had a vote, and I don't think, I'm positive there will not be a vote on the Green New Deal.
Can I posit just this? Well, and you said, and I want to quote you, and I'll ask it as a question. You said, I'm sure people heard you, she's a bully.
Yeah. I mean, she really is going after people who don't agree with what she says.
Why do you think it is?
Intolerant. Well, I don't know. I mean, sometimes I think that that's the fundamental difference between the left and the right. You know, from a very basic point of view, that on the right, I would think our big goal is freedom. You know, I mean, I don't consider myself a conservative or Republican, but I consider myself a lover of freedom. You pursue your life. You know, do for your family what you think is best.
You don't think Democrats love freedom?
I think that Democrats are more about you know, a community. And that's like where the idea of, and I don't mean that in a bad way or a good way. It's about the collective more, and the collective can help each other, and it takes a village. And that's why socialism appeals. It's like we kind of all hold each other together. So maybe that's what defines how they get together as a party, is like, we're going to work together, as opposed to on the right, where everybody's like, we're independent. But this is taking it to the extreme, where it almost feels like fascism, where if you don't believe what I believe, you're wrong. And
except
everyone
she's
has
not a
to
leader
think
of anything.
alike.
And I'm going to put you on a list.
So, Morgan, I want to ask it this way. You heard Rachel saying, well, why is Nancy Pelosi, Speaker of the House, appeasing her? AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, has had the ability to galvanize around the Green New Deal. I mean, she's got a marketability. She may not have that office that you're waiting for her to open, but she is open for business. And her business is oppositional, contrary to, she gets it done per her own vision. So what would you do as a leader? Wouldn't you have to appease her?
Let me just say, Harris, you stole the thoughts right out of my head.
Really?
No, I totally agree with you.
I'm never as smart as you are.
That's not true. But she may not be politically the most powerful, but emotionally, when it comes to the base, she had a Green New Deal that had some of the most ridiculous, untested, unvetted language in there that she got 6 senators who are running for president who couldn't get a single staff member to read it, but were so quick to sign on to it. She helped lead a movement to get Amazon, one of the most powerful companies in the world, out of New York City. Establishment Democrats, with all due respect, and many of them sit on this couch, are completely, I think, out of touch with the base of their party. She may not politically lead it, but emotionally, this woman has more gravitas and more ability to get people who are running for the highest office in the land to sign up to what she says, no matter how utterly ridiculous the proposals are.
It reminds me of when President Trump turned the Republican Party upside down.
I want to give Richard the last word on that,
great point.
because if somebody is running away with your political party, what will you do?
Yeah. She's not. Let's just talk about the Green New Deal for a second.
Well,
the Green New Deal is the Democrats saying we need to address climate change. The Republicans, regrettably, saying no. And imagine being all the millions
That's
of
not
millennials.
true. But that's just
things
not
about
true.
the millions of millennials who hear the message with the Democrats saying, yes, we need to aggressively attack climate change.
Get rid of
and
cows
people on
and
the right.
airplanes.
No, they're not. I'm saying that's the caricature that if you're a millennial,
was
you're
in
smart
there.
enough to know
But
that's
it's
not at all.
It's interesting what
we're
you're
talking about.
positing,
written in
though,
there.
because it does do what Pelosi says. It does bring forth suggestions. And the criticism among Democrats, even among themselves, but certainly from the other side of the political aisle in 2016 is, well, where are your ideas on economics? Where are your ideas on these things? So if nothing else, that you feel like
the Green New
she's
Deal
doing
is like
that
an
for you.
RFP. It's like a
That's
request for
interesting.
proposals. It's like, tell us what you think, but that's all it is.
All right, let's talk a little bit about what's going on in the Democrat Party. Who's running the show exactly? Is it Nancy Pelosi or is it AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, from one of the districts here in New York City? Because the Washington Post has a headline today. House Democrats exploded in recriminations Thursday over moderates bucking the party, with liberal Representative AOC threatening to put those voting with Republicans on a list for a primary challenge. And apparently Nancy Pelosi and AOC both furious that a couple of dozen moderate Democrats have voted with the Republicans.
You know, when there's a civil war in the Democratic Party, I just break out the popcorn. Don't you love watching this? This is what happened with the Tea Party and the Republicans about 10 years ago. But now you have, you know, these Tea Party socialists like AOC trying to primary moderate Democrats. And think about what they were doing. What they wanted to do was that if a legal alien sneaks across the border and tries to buy a gun, the Democrats didn't want to alert ICE. Right. They wanted to let that happen. So, you know, they want to expand background checks for Americans, but not for illegal aliens. So some moderate Democrats voted with the Republicans, and AOC is going to put them on a list. Right. A list.
To primary.
To primary.
She says she has a big text list, a big text chain.
Is that like the no-fly list when they abolish air travel?
Yes, absolutely.
What's happening to the Democratic Party? Are they going to start listening to her? Are they going to be scared they're going to lose their seats because she's threatening them? I'll put you on the list. I'll get you out of office.
Yeah, I mean, it's a total catastrophe over there. And even if you look at the people running for president, Kamala Harris, she wants to legalize prostitution. She wants to legalize marijuana. She wants to get rid of your health insurance. She said that she wants to get rid of Columbus Day and make it Indigenous Peoples Day. There goes the Italian vote.
Absolutely. She might actually lose New York City.
There it is.
All right, that's a good point.
But it's so dangerous, isn't it? I mean, I think about like a Joe Manchin, and if he hears her say that, he might start voting a certain way, but it's not the way his constituents want him to vote. So then he would lose his seat anyway because they wouldn't re-elect him. But are we going to see more of them going more social to you know, far, far left?
Well, that's where the energy is. But the people that are smart that want to win elections have to vote with their constituents. That's what happened with Steve Bannon. Remember, he started to primary all of these moderate Republicans, and we wound up losing Alabama. So be careful what you wish for.
Right.